in listen-only mode.
Good morning, colleagues. We welcome you today, the New Jersey Council of County Colleges and the Center for Student Success will be providing you with Designing with the Ends in Mind, Lorain County Community College's approach to guided pathways. The webinar will be recorded, and at the end, you can use the webinar control panel to ask questions of our presenters. This morning, we have Ms. Stephanie Sutton, who has over 30 years of higher education experience and currently serves as the Associate Provost of Enrollment Management and Student Success at Lorain County Community College. Stephanie is a proud graduate of the community college system and works in various positions, including Director of Financial Aid and Dean of Enrollment, Financial and Career Services. Stephanie also serves as an adjunct faculty member. As Associate Provost, Stephanie provides leadership for the Enrollment, Financial, and Career Services Division. In addition, she serves as the campus co-lead for the college's student success initiatives, including Achieving the Dream and Completion by Design. Stephanie is also the project director for LCCC's CUNY ASAP replication study. Early results from the student success work include a variety of policy changes to enhance and incent student success, along with a 44% increase in the number of graduates at LCCC since 2011. We also have Ms. Claudia A. Lubaski, CPA, CMA, CFE. She's currently an associate professor of accounting at Lorain County Community College. After earning a master's degree from the American College in 2001, she began as an adjunct instructor using her experiences from both public and corporate accounting. In 2014, Ms. Lubaski was the recipient of the Faculty of the Year Award presented by the Ohio Association of Two-Year Colleges. Congratulations, Claudia. Since the fall of 2012, Ms. Lubaski has been a member of the Completion by Design core team and has co-chaired the Transfer and Apply team, which she is currently working on at Guided Pathways at LCCC. Ladies, take it away. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I think it's still morning. As Simi said, I am Stephanie Sutton. I'm here with Claudia Lubaski, and we're going to tell you about LCC's approach to meta majors and guided pathways. I think it's really important for you to know, though, that we're not there yet. This is a work in progress. We actually started on this during the last academic year and are continuing our work through this academic year. We like to tie everything we do here at Lorain County Community College to our vision, and our number one priority in our vision is to drive student completion and academic success. Where this approach comes into play with our number one vision, it does reduce time and cost to completion. It really helps enhance student learning, develop structured pathways for in-demand careers and employers, and it also helps to engage more adult learners and to close those achievement gaps of our under-resourced students by providing them with the supports and the direction to complete. We really largely leverage our approach to the work of Davis Jenkins and Rob Johnstone, and so we refer a lot to some of their framework. So I would encourage all of you to maybe look up some of the literature that they've published. They have a lot out there on this. But, you know, Davis really talks about starting with the ends in mind and, you know, really thinking about what's the student's career along the way. What are the default program maps? But not looking at the status quo anymore, but where we want students to get to. The guiding principles and promising practices that they talk about are really to help students choose a program of study as soon as possible, and you'll see the other enumerated points. But I'm going to highlight the importance of career decision in the student success work because I think it's really relevant in what we've done here at Lorain County Community College. Again, starting with the end of mind, what's the student's goal? So we call it our career advantage for students. We want to help them clarify their career goal. We want to help them apply their career goal to their educational program and place graduates in career. Now, we broadly define the career goal. So if a student's career goal might be at the end of a four-year or master's degree, that's still their career goal, and that's what we want to help them get to along the way. This kind of shows, we are Completion by Design School, and with Completion by Design, which is that Gates-funded initiative, if you're not familiar, I would encourage you to look at completionbydesign.org. There are a lot of really good resources about the structured pathway and guided pathways conversation on that website as well. But it really talks about that lost momentum framework of taking students from connection, entry, progress, into completion. And what we've done with this graph is really mapped our career services along that framework. So our connection for students and for staff is redesigning our admission process from major selection to career interest areas, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. We again want to make that stronger connection between career services and enrollment services, and in fact 3 years ago the college administrators deliberately merged career services with the enrollment services team so that we could have a more cohesive team and more of a one-stop shop, really from connection to completion. We administer the Noel Levitz College Student Inventory to our students. This is a self-assessment that gives that students give us their impression and their thoughts about themselves, but it also helps us identify undecided students instead of just looking at maybe major selection. And we do that through some of the custom questions that we ask on that CSI inventory. We have a team approach for student success, working with our coaches, advisors, our academic counselors, and career specialists, from following them to ensure they're on the correct path and referring to each other. In fact, we changed our advisors' job descriptions a few years ago and changed their position from an academic advisor to a career and academic advisement professional, making sure that we were very intentional about the importance of career with our advisors as well. We have a robust toolkit for helping with career decisions. We have My Plan, which is a free assessment that students can take that's on our website. And actually, if any of you are interested in that, you can go to our website and, to our career services page, and you can get that free password and take that My Plan assessment and see how that might look in helping students figure out what they want to do. We also use MC's Career Coach, and the state of Ohio has a robust job search and career pathways called Ohio Means Jobs that we also leverage. In fact, we've embedded into some of our student development courses that are required for students these career services tools and require faculty to help students with that career work. For progress, we've required experiential education in all of our programs. Curriculum Council actually approved this last year, about this time last year, in fact. We received an Ohio Means Internships and Co-op grant, and since that we've been able to place 57 new internships through that grant. Now that's not all of our internships, but that's just through the grant and the emphasis on the importance of experiential education along the way. We have service learning opportunities in every division to prepare students for their career and to give them some real-world experience. We have an annual job and career fair and internship fair every year, working very closely with our divisions and giving that career information to students. It's really highly advertised, and we actually give preference to those students who are prepared and give them VIP access. We have over 80 employers who come to campus on our annual job fair, and so these VIP students who have to go through resume writing and interviewing skills actually get the doors open to them an hour earlier than the regular students. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there. Let me go back to this. You can see I have a lot of emails, I guess. So we also have our transferred, and then we also have a university partnership, and we have a lot of transfer agreements with our partners, and then we also embed that job and career service at the end. So we have Career Week, also March 8th through 12th, career exploration activities going on throughout the year, workshop, faculty presentations, and employer tours. So when we talk about embedding those real-world experiences, I mentioned that Curriculum Council approved experiential education and programs of study. And again, we heard from our employers that they wanted better prepared students, so that's why we really put an emphasis on experiential education. I mentioned some of this already to you, but we also make sure that we're using labor market information and the data from that to drive our curriculum and certificate offerings. So all of our emphasis on career has really been working as we look at students who are concentrating in a major field of study That has really improved since 2011. We have actually seen a 5 percentage point increase, or I'm sorry, 11 percentage point increase from 2011 to 2015. How we define a concentration is that students who take 9 credit hours in core coursework within a major is a concentration. We have found here at Lorain County Community College that we're not doing a good enough job of making sure the student has the right major in our system, so we are working on that. So we do look at other ways of seeing if that concentration is successful. So we're really proud of the fact that some of the work we've been doing has seen an 11% increase in concentration. Now, we've also felt that it's really important to approach this structured pathway or guided pathway work by embedding meta majors. So meta majors, really defined, is it's an effort to reduce the number of program choices that students have into broader groups that have common content. So it's really working consciously to eliminate choices, but to group courses so students have less wasted credit. How we began this work is working with our transferred and applied team. They were charged last year with investigating the structured pathway and meta major conversation. And you'll notice that I have the word investigating underlined here for your review. And the reason we did that is we had to be very intentional about languaging for our faculty. So we didn't want to tell them that they had to do it, but wanted to give them the literature and let them see if it made sense for us. And they overwhelmingly felt it did. The Transfer and Applied team is a subgroup of our core completion team. They had 12 meetings during the academic year to process and move this forward last year. We did bring Davis Jenkins in last November to work with the Transfer and Applied team. We find here at Lorain County Community College that if we bring in some outside experts who are working in the field with other schools, that it really lends to that best practice and evidence-based approach. And so it's not administration or faculty champions talking and trying to convince. It's really bringing that outside expertise to help with the work. And we really feel that that has been invaluable to our progress to date. The Transfer and Applied team began with the identification of career major interest areas, as we're calling them, or meta majors. So again, these are really exploratory majors for undecided students is another way to think of them. Our Transfer and Applied team identified categories and mapped all of our programs to these categories. We originally came up with 20 different categories, but narrowed it down to 10. And really that came out of a lot of the work with Rob Johnstone in his work with behavioral economics that really talked about that too much choice is confusing to students. So where, Davis thought 20 might have been okay, Rob was like, oh, let's narrow that down to a little. Well, we did get it down to 10 areas. And the way we did that is we really, as I said, mapped every program to those interest areas and found that we had several that only had 2 or 3 programs in it, so we could collapse those into others. We're going to tentatively brand this as career major interest areas. However, we think that's kind of a mouthful for students, so we will be doing some focus groups with students to see what resonates better with students. Imagine that we're actually going to ask the students for their opinion on what makes sense to them. We're going to embed these career major interest areas into our online application for students. So for an undecided student, it's going to reduce their choice from 130 majors to 10, and it's going to give them those interest areas to ask them about. Students who know what they want can select that specific major either at the application process or even at that first required meeting with advising. We're redesigning our website, and it'll link all of our pages regarding careers and programs to the labor market data in these 10 areas. And this says we're hoping to launch this by September 1st, but we're really looking more like January 1st now, as we're being more intentional. So this is just going to give you a mock-up of what we think these career major interest areas will look like. So students, and this is again before we even narrowed it down further to the 10, but students might be interested in business and entrepreneurship. They might be interested in human and social services. They might be interested in sports and fitness. And so they could select one of these majors and drill down further. For this example, we're going to select healthcare because I think I want to be a nurse. So under healthcare comes up all the programs that we offer on healthcare. And we're actually changing this title a little bit to healthcare and wellness so that the sports and fitness might make more sense under this. So again, as I mentioned, this is really a work in progress for us so that it's a dynamic process for us. So again, I look at all the choices, but I really think I want to be a nurse. And so I can click nursing, but I can also read some articles in the right-hand pane that might direct me more to what health career opportunities are out there. So when I drill down to nursing, I look at all the nursing programs that Lorain County Community College offers. And also not just what we offer here, but then what the opportunities with our university partners are for the bachelor or even the master's of science in nursing. Again, in that right-hand pane, I can click on stories and maybe get some videos about nurses in practice and more real-world experience about what being a nurse means. So I then click on I want to be a registered nurse, and it takes me to the associate degree nursing page. It gives me career information, curriculum guide information, course descriptions, and how I actually apply to this program. I can schedule a visit or I can even chat with somebody online. And again, we want to have the labor market information that they could drill down to and videos and images that make this really interactive for students. We do envision this being throughout our website, so anybody or any place that they talk about the nursing career or health careers will drill down through these. And so that will change it in one place and it'll filter to all of them. Our major website redesign hopes to be released in June of 2016. So I'm now going to turn it over to Claudia to talk about the default program map, that the next part of the guided pathway conversation that we're currently working at here at Lorain County Community College. Claudia?
Good morning. My name is Claudia. Stephanie said, and I'm going to give you a little bit on the faculty perspective of this work. I co-chair what's called the Transfer and Apply team with two of my colleagues, and we are a subgroup of our main success team. And the way we started, we had a large Excel spreadsheet that our provost's office kept of all the programs here at LC. So we started pretty simply by embedding pivot tables just to find common courses among programs, to see how many programs might have our English 161 or our Accounting 151 or others. And once we had that, we decided, before we go through any more work of trying to create clumps of common courses, which we're calling meta majors, we thought we should probably do a gap analysis of all of our LC programs with the labor market outlook. We did a lot of this work over last winter break because we wanted to keep the momentum of this team going. And once we got the labor market data, we tried to fit it into all our programs, or vice versa, fit our programs into those job market outlooks, and kind of went from there. Once we had that, we saw that we had programs to fit into all the jobs that were in demand. We created spreadsheets by program of these clustered common courses. But then we decided that wasn't good enough, because the other two co-chairs and myself decided we had to get buy-in from all the program coordinators at LC. And instead of just going with a blank tablet, we thought we should have something to show them, such as, we think these 5 or 6 courses might serve nicely as a meta major in your programs. You know, what do you think? So the other two chairs and myself, we reserved a couple study rooms. We went with just paper flip charts and markers, and we started doing flow charts of what we thought would be these common core classes and how they would kind of siphon into the other programs. And then we took the flip charts, made them a little more readable, and we actually went and made meetings with the program coordinators across campus, which took a long time. So it wasn't an expensive, as far as money, project, but it was an investment of time and energy, and took us quite a while. With that, we knew faculty involvement would be paramount, and if we had the buy-in of the program coordinators, we knew that the other faculty would probably be more willing to create the default pathways. One of the things we were really worried about at this point was the paring down, because part of the philosophy in the default program map or guided pathway is to not necessarily prescribe certain choices, but to suggest certain choices so that the choice of a student is more informed and it's not so overwhelming. So we knew that would be a difficult discussion to have, and to kind of guide us through the work, we made a checklist. We made a faculty handbook to do this work, and we did it in a timeline fashion. So we said in September, October, make sure your program's relevant, make sure the meta major we're suggested will work, that those courses are scheduled in your first or second semester, and then towards the end of October, have the discussions across disciplines to make sure the general education or electives that you're suggesting make sense with your program. And then in November, December, January, we're going to take that work to Curriculum Council. So as Stephanie said, this is a work in process, and we are now taking our programs to Curriculum Council to get final approval. So for an example, I went ahead and did the accounting program. I do teach accounting. So I thought, well, I'll kind of use my area as an example to help my colleagues with theirs. And so I found that there were 7 courses that were common to all 12 business programs. And you'll see there on the right-hand side are the business programs, on the left are those 7 courses. So I got worried when I looked at my accounting program, what's going to happen if I want them to try a second accounting class? We have 2 semesters of beginning accounting, our 151 financial, our 152 managerial. So if they wanted to take that second accounting class, I was worried what would happen to the meta major structure, what would happen to their choice to get into the other programs. And to my surprise, I found only 2 programs out of those 12 were eliminated if a student took accounting 152. So they could still take 10 other program choices if after the second accounting they decided they really did not like accounting. Well, then it got a little bit more concerning, because in my program, to finish in 2 years, they would have to take Econ 151 and 152, so that's our micro and macro, in the first and second semesters, so they could take finance and other upper level classes in their second year. So I was still surprised that if they took the econ, they were still able to get into 7 other business programs if they ended up not liking accounting, not liking it after economics. They still had 7 choices, which I thought was really fantastic. So then, go back, right here. So right here is the accounting curriculum showing my first 2 semesters completed on the path to an accounting degree. And again, if they don't like it, there are still 7 choices they can go into after all of that. With that, we have an accounting partnership with university partner Hiram. And I also thought it would be nice to show, as they're finishing the 2-year degree here at LC, to kind of cross off what they have towards their 4-year degree and give them a sense of accomplishment. So we have almost a 3+1 with Hiram, so they do about 2.5, 2 2/3 year here at LC with LC prices, and then go on to the Hiram partnership. And as you can see, they're still on the guided pathway, they're completing Hiram courses. At that point, if they don't like where they are, they can still switch into 7 other LC business programs with no time lost and no money wasted. Now, a little bit more about some of the on-ramps to pathways. My university is a unique partnership between LCCC and area high schools. In Ohio, we want going to college and graduating to be efficient and inexpensive. So with my university, students can save 80% of the cost of a traditional 4-year degree. This is done by, we compress the high school and college courses starting in 9th grade, so students graduate with both a diploma and an associate degree and can complete a bachelor degree by age 20. During the process, our students, they're not wanting anything. They receive ongoing academic and career counseling, and their degree is made sure that it leads to real-life opportunities, because we put the career advising very important, because that's part of the philosophy of the guided pathways, to always have that end result in mind. You know, during this process, they enjoy both their high school and their college experiences. And in addition, we work with other underrepresented groups to offer on-ramps, such as Lorain County Urban League and others. So there's other ways students, underrepresented high school students, can get into the guided pathway work going on here at LCCC. This slide shows a little bit how this works, the prescription, if you will. During the freshman year in high school, a student will earn about 6 college credits plus their high school courses. And the sophomore year, it's usually 6 to 7, again, plus high school courses. So they're easing into college, 6 and 7, and there's a lot of flexibility in this as well. They're learning what it takes to be successful in college courses, and then we ratchet it up in the junior and senior year, and as you can see, it goes up to about 30 college credits the junior year, about 34 or so the senior year. And what's nice about this is students can enter or leave the program at their discretion. There's a lot of flexibility in this. Again, here's a little bit more about the university partnership, how it ties into the on-ramp in high school through the guided pathway at LC. This is just a list of 7. So for business administration, a student, again, graduates from high school. They have the associate degree. They enter what we're calling the 13th year at LC, and in most cases, these are 3+1s. So in that 13th year at LC, they're paying LC prices, and in many cases, they use an LCCC Foundation scholarship, a trustee scholarship, presidential. We have many to offer. And then in year 14, it's with the university partner. This they're going to pay at the partnership rates. However, again, we have the University Partnership Inspiration Award. There's partner scholarships, some up to 1,000 and more. The point here is that we always want to make it affordable, even more than we promise. And again, this is just a list of 7. This is ongoing work in process as well. We're always developing new university partners, and these 7 have the high school path already made. And here's another example, just showing you a little bit. The freshman year, they would take SDEV 102, which is the strategies for college success, and then our first microcomputer application course. Again, tremendous flexibility. These are just some samples here. 10th grade, you see, we said 6 or 7 college credits, so here would be 6 with a couple of the histories. And we individualize this for each school, building on the strengths of each district. So again, just an example here. And then as we go on to 11th and 12th grade, you can see here it ramps up much more in the college area, 27, 31, or to 33 credits. And these are, again, individualized as needed. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Stephanie for a bit.
So thanks, Claudia. So, this is really intensive work, and it's really changing everything we're doing. So it's really a comprehensive plan. So the other thing we're looking at is required plans tied to predictive schedules. So we're looking at block scheduling, and we're doing that. We have CUNY, which is the City Universities of New York, Associate Studies and Accelerated Studies and Associate Programs of Application. We're one of the schools in Ohio doing that. We're calling that a SAIL, so we're kind of playing with block scheduling with our SAIL students. We're also partnering with Ed Astra and Platinum Analytics to be more strategic about scheduling from the Student Success Lens. What we found is that our deans do a great job in scheduling their courses from their divisions, but they're not looking at programs. So for instance, if the engineering program needs a math course or a science course, sometimes there might be conflicts for when that engineering course is offered, but we're not being comprehensive or collaborative about scheduling that. So Ed Astra is going to help us look at those course conflicts and make sure that we're scheduling from a student's perspective and not necessarily from a division's perspective. We also have the electronic MyCap, which is an individualized career and academic plan for students that we work with all new students and give them this individualized or plan, some call it a GPS, to tell them what courses they need to take each term as they make forward movement with their completion goals. We're also looking at, as I mentioned before, changing our admission application and configuring PeopleSoft for that career major interest area. This is pretty big. Initially, you know, it's not just changing the admissions application, but making sure we're in compliance with financial aid rules and that we can pay students who are in one of these career major interest areas. We're redesigning our website, as I mentioned, with that new look so that we can always drill down with that career major interest area in mind. And then faculty are working on those default pathways, having those tough conversations about what's the suggested course or 2 or 3 courses that a student who graduates might take towards that degree. And again, it's looking at the data to tell us what courses successful students take. Not necessarily from a faculty perspective on what faculty wants to teach, but looking for the majority of our students what makes the most sense from a default pathway perspective. We've done a lot of intensive work and have a lot of resources for faculty, including a manual that faculty can access through our LMS system, which is now Canvas. And it includes a checklist and timeline for revising or creating curriculum guides for applied and non-applied pathways. They're very different for whether it's an applied degree or a non-applied degree, for instance, a transfer degree. So we list we have embedded hyperlinks listed in this document. It's really a dynamic live document. Resources that provide job and labor market information for them to talk about the relevance of their program. It talks about what meta-major courses would be aligned with that program. So what's that group of courses that students who might have an interest in that business area, what are those courses? It details steps for creating the applied degree pathways for them, steps for creating that transfer pathway. The Ohio Board of Regents has now changed its name to the Ohio Department of Higher Education as of July 1st this year. So it also gives them the general education guidelines for ODHE. And also ties it to our Ohio Higher Learning Commission accreditation and degree and certificate requirements that we have through them. And again, we want to look at the evidence and the best practices out there, so it gives them the research studies on guided pathways from the Community College Research Center that Davis Jenkins is part of. As I mentioned before, we did bring him on campus. So I know that we were asked to also talk about how we're doing this work while managing our resources. So we really are looking at it almost on a return of investment perspective. Reduced hours to degree does impact enrollment, but does pay off in the long run. So we want to reduce the time of degree completion, but graduate more students, and we found that we're doing that. What's really helped us with this movement is that Ohio went to 100% performance funding for its state share of instruction a year ago. So we're no longer awarded on enrollment of students, but on how students perform. 50% of that is on course completion, 25% is on number of graduates, and then another 25% is on progress towards their degree and hitting milestones of students combining 12 hours, 24 hours, and 36 hours to their degree. That's really impacted us and really helped us do this work because the state's really mandating a lot of this. Also, the state of Ohio went to a reduction of hours in all associate's degree to 65 and under. So our faculty and coordinators are having to reduce all of their programs to 65 with the ideal being 60. And so this guided pathway work and these resources that we created for our faculty are really helping in this work. And then we talked about the high school partnership, which is College Credit Plus, and really the state is encouraging us, in fact requiring Ohio school districts to partner with at least 2 pathways for higher education. Now the pathways can be all with Lorain County Community College, or they can be with other schools as well. But so the state's really helped nudge us along the way to do this work, which we found invaluable. Now, this work isn't without its challenges. I mean, we have just seen a lot of change at Lorain County Community College over the last 4 years, going from that enrollment-driven system to one based on student success and completion. Rapid change in policies and how we're offering courses, and also what we're holding faculty accountable for. It's that student-focused and evidence-based approach that continues to make the case for why we need to do this. we just simply can't be content with our low graduation rate at the community colleges here and nationwide. It's the challenges are limiting selection of courses. It does impact faculty teaching preferences, right? Faculty may have a course that they love to teach, but that's really low enrolled. So we really need to look at that from an evidence-based perspective, and if we're not going to eliminate the course, we might limit the number of offerings or the time of the year that we teach it. Again, the institutional policy changes that we've seen over the last 3 to 4 years have just really impacted this work, and really we've changed the culture with our work and students and getting students to succeed. And the institution now, faculty, staff, all start to think about it from a student perspective. And then there are those federal compliance opportunities as we, for instance, embed the limited choices into our application process. We need to make sure that we're doing that with financial aid at the table as well, so that they can make sure that they can report correctly and that they can pay students correctly. So it really is not just a faculty ownership to it, but really it's a campus-wide ownership to this work of structured pathways. So I know we've thrown a lot of information for you. You'll have access to the presentation and they can send that to you, but we do want to open it up to questions. Yesenia, do you want to maybe take over at this point and see, let us know the questions or how we're going to question and answer portion?
Okay, we do have a question that just came in. Where do program learning outcomes fit in the work you have done framed in Guided Pathways Principles?
So our learning outcomes are more course-based than program-based, and I'll let Claudia answer that from our CDSO perspective.
We have individual course outcomes, and those are based on how many ILUs a course is. So if it's a 3-hour course, we have at least 6 course outcomes. And then we have program outcomes. We probably have maybe 4 or 5 major program outcomes per program. We tie the course outcomes to the program outcomes. So when we're limiting some of the choices, we have to make sure that we're not jeopardizing or losing the integrity of any of the program outcomes. And then what we have started to do here as well, we started this fall, since I am program coordinator of the accounting program, I was asked to contact the employers that hire our students and find out if our program outcomes are truly being met with the student on the job. So we're part of just kind of continually trying to improve. So the program outcomes are assessed not only through the course, but they're also being assessed externally now by our transfer institutions and our employers. And again, the guided pathway has to have the program outcomes in mind continually, so that as you pare down, make decisions, you aren't jeopardizing any of the program outcomes.
Thank you, Claudia. We have another question. How does this work with developmental students?
So with our new students, let me start by a couple of our policy changes. So one of the policy changes we made is that students who test into what we call academic foundation coursework need to start that at the if it's required for the program, need to start that their first term here. And so so we've gone to some co-requisite models and are seeing really good good results with that. For instance, we offer developmental English with first term English course, and we're looking at doing some of that for math. But so we would want a student, if possible, to start on their program map as soon as they can. So realizing that depending on the level of developmental coursework they need might delay their graduation. But again, it's that detailed plan for students and letting them see when they can start and hopefully get them into a course in their program of study early on.
I just want to remind participants that if you do want to ask a question, you should look at the webinar control panel, click on questions, and you can enter your question there. The next question is, how do you fund dual enrollment or dual credit classes? Can you elaborate, please?
So the state of Ohio had a major shift in what we used to call post-secondary educational options, which was PSEO, and they changed the law to College Credit Plus. So the state actually funds that, and they actually have set a floor and a ceiling amount that schools can charge, so it's an even playing field. So we are, again, this came as a state mandate. It's in state law, and Claudia looked up an interesting statistic earlier today that I was familiar with. Across the state of Ohio, 5% of our high school graduates graduate with some college credit. In Lorain County, it's 20% of our students graduate with some college credit. So again, it was the state policy that really is driving that College Credit Plus initiative and providing the funding for that. So, if any of you have heard Kay McClinney talk before and say that students don't do optional, well, I don't think schools do optional either. So when some of this comes down from the state, it really, you really have to adapt to what they want you to do.
Our next question is, can you elaborate on undecided students and those who wish to change majors?
So we require all of our new students to come and see an advisor. So the direction we're going with our application is, one of the first questions for the student will be, do you know what degree you want? If yes, click here. If no, click here. So if they're undecided, they'll get those. It's actually going to be 9 choices that they can have, because one will be non-degree seeking, and we'll verify that class. We'll verify that they're degree seeking first. And so they'll be put into one of our career major interest areas. We're programming the system that they can only be into that up to completion of 30 college level credit hours. And if they go beyond that, they will have to come back. They'll have a hold on their account. They'll have to come back in and see an advisor or success coach to declare a major or to get some more help with their decision process. We would love to put a hold on these students and make them see an advisor or success coach every time to register, except right now we don't have enough advisors or counselors to do that. So, if we can enhance our resources, we would definitely do that.
The next question is, can you speak to how the experiential/service learning is set up? How early and often can students participate, and does it appear on their transcript?
So that's a great question. If it's a co-op that's tied to credit hour, it would appear on the transcript. What we're in the process of doing right now is designating the service learning and the non-credit ones as milestones on their transcript, so it'll show that it's there. And as far as if it's a paid internship, if it's for their program and the employer lets them, they could do that more than one term.
Our leader here, Dr. Larry Nespoli, President of the Council of County Colleges, is going to ask our next question.
Hi, everyone. Claudia and Stephanie, thank you so much. This has been absolutely terrific, and I want to thank everyone for taking time out of busy schedules to join in. This is gold, nuggets of gold here, and I know Jasenia will take every opportunity going forward to share this captured audio recording and the slides with others throughout our state. So Chris Baldwin, a good friend of ours, was here in New Jersey. Some of the folks participating here today were with us Friday to hear from Chris, as well as he spent time with our chief academic officers. Chris did this work in Michigan. He was Jasenia's counterpart at the Michigan Center for Student Success, helping to lead a guided pathways cohort there, and now is back with Jobs for the Future, helping to lead this guided pathways work from a national perch. I want to ask a quick question about the transfer aspect of this. Guided Pathways has several elements, of course, multiple elements. It's tough work. We all get that within our own community college world, but it becomes more complex still as we try to link our guided pathways at the community college into welcoming and receiving continuing pathways onto a bachelor's degree. So my question, Claudia, Stephanie, when Chris was with us, he shared some examples, and we've all seen these examples of bilateral, so to speak, relationships where a Maricopa focuses principally on its premier partner, Arizona State, or similarly, Valencia focuses on its premier transfer partner, University of Central Florida. So what's your take on all of that? Can you speak to that from your perch in the Cleveland area? Do you have you found it the good work that you've done within your college as you've then begin to think about and to act upon the transfer piece? Have you focused with your primary transfer partners or partners 1, 2, or 3, or are there statewide activities underway as well?
So that's a great question, and I'm going to answer it in 2 parts. First of all, we do have a university partnership here on campus where we actually have levy support from our taxpayers to bring 12 different 4-year schools on campus to deliver their bachelor and master's degree program for Lorain County residents. So those would be considered our premier partners. So when you saw Claudia's example for accounting, that was with our partner there is Hiram College, right? So that we do have that pathway mapped out. However, if a student comes in knowing, let's say, for instance, they want to transfer to Cleveland State University, we would have the articulation agreement with Cleveland State University and can help guide them on the right courses to take for that. In fact, we have an upcoming meeting in that example with Cleveland State to work out articulation agreements from an evidence-based approach. So they're pulling the data from the National Clearinghouse, and we're pulling the data too, and looking at the most common programs the students graduate from. With our transfer programs, we are trying to map out the default pathways, but that does become more challenging. So we're pulling the data and looking at where students mostly go. And so let's say they want an Associate of Science and they plan to transfer to Youngstown State University. That might look very different than a pathway to Ohio State University. So we are working actually with our Math and Science Division in that instance to map out those pathways for the school the student wants to go to, again with the idea of eliminating wasted credit. So that work is ongoing right now. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And we have another question that just came in. For those of you participating, if you do have a question, please go ahead and enter it, again, in the questions area of the GoToWebinar control panel. So the next question is, are accelerated academic courses offered during the regular semester?
So by that, I think you're probably referring to that we have a 16-week term, and within that term, we might offer 8 weeks that start at the first 8 weeks of the semester, or then a following 8 weeks. And we do offer, and are actually looking to offer courses like that. We do that a lot with our developmental math, for instance. We have 8 weeks. We do that in, I'm trying to think of some other instances. We're setting up some new programs where, for instance, our whole nursing program redesign will be in 8-week modules as well that will feed off of one another. So we are looking at accelerating some programs and degree completion with those 8-week terms. So I hope that's what the person meant.
I don't see anything popping up in the questions control panel area. So at this time, what I'd like to do is thank Ms. Claudia Lubaski and Ms. Stephanie Sutton for your time and for this great presentation to help us in New Jersey continue to move forward with our Guided Pathways cohort.
Great, and I'd just like to add one more thing, Yesenia, is if anybody has questions, they can email you, and you can, or email us directly. For instance, the experiential education question, I can connect them with Marcia Jones, who's our career services manager, so we can get them to the right person too if they have specific questions.
Thank you so very much. For those of you still on the line, if you do have further questions or things pop up as you go off and meet with your teams, or as other folks have the opportunity to view the webinar, please feel free to email me with that, and I will connect with Stephanie or Claudia and get you that information. Thank you again also very much for joining us today, and we wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you.